Hey guys, Harris here. So I have a not very concise story that I think sums up these two devices pretty well, the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 8. Okay, so the iPhone 7 came out a year ago and I've been using it for a year. The iPhone 8 came out a month ago, and for the first 2 weeks that I had this, in fact I had all three of the color options. For the first 2 weeks that I had these, I still used my iPhone 7 as my daily driver. Why? Because it wasn't that significant of an upgrade, and with the iPhone 10 coming, I figured I don't necessarily want to switch. But about 2 weeks ago, I did. I switched my SIM card and moved everything over here full time to the iPhone 8. And then a few days ago, iOS 11 massively glitched out on my iPhone 8. I couldn't open any applications. I could use Siri, use Control Center and Notification Center, but I couldn't open any apps. Siri wouldn't open any apps, nor would it let me shut down, restart, or even connect to a Mac to restore it. So I had to wait for the battery to die in order to ever be able to use this device again. What does this all mean? Basically, it means that iOS 11 is definitely glitchy, one of the glitchiest final software updates I've ever seen Apple put out, and the iPhone 7 isn't that drastically different from the iPhone 8, or I should say the iPhone 8 isn't that drastically different than the 7. Alright, so right off the bat, there are a few things that I've noticed and really liked with the 8. So the design is nicer. I think the glass panel looks really good. The white has become my favorite color, and I did a full color comparison videos of all three colors, but the white is definitely my favorite as of right now, just because of how nice the back looks. And it still definitely does get fingerprints and smudges and oils on the white one, but it shows a lot less than the black one. But that's just cosmetics. The biggest thing I've noticed right off the bat was the speed. This thing is super snappy, and no, the iPhone 7 isn't slow, and you're not going to complain about the speed most likely if you buy a new or even used and restored iPhone 7, but this thing is super snappy, and you're not going to run into any issues with performance on this. Just like any new iPhone, it's crazy fast, screaming fast, and is extremely responsive and does a great job at whatever you throw at it. Secondly, what I noticed was battery life. So battery life is pretty horrendous on an iPhone 7. I take it off the charger around 5:50 every morning for school. It usually dies around 2:30 to 3 o'clock. Usually it's at about 10% at the end of school at 2 o'clock. With this guy, when I get out of school at 2 o'clock and I get back from practice at 5 o'clock, this is still at 40 to 50%. I've never killed this before 7 p.m. and that for me, for an iPhone, is very impressive. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that impressive. It still doesn't get you a full day, but I've had a lot better usage on battery on my iPhone 8 than I had on the iPhone 7. This is a year old, and maybe that's just kind of the nature of the batteries in general, but I never had full day battery life on here, and I almost consider this full day battery, so it's been better for me on the iPhone 8. Wireless charging is also here and new. It's great. I have a wireless charger on my desk. I can just throw this down, and when I'm passing by and then grab it a little bit later, it's quicker, it's more convenient, and the only downside is that it isn't fast, because Apple, of course, isn't going to give us fast wireless charging, at least not right now. But the thing is, wireless charging isn't going to be hitting the mainstream until probably next year. Why? Because the iPhone 10 isn't out yet, and that's what's going to be driving the wireless charging industry to go up, along with Apple just adopting it in general. I think next year is when we're going to see wireless charging in every table at Starbucks and every piece of equipment and furniture at IKEA, at every Panera you go through. I think that's when wireless charging is really going to take off. Right now, it's still kind of a niche product. It's not everywhere. It's slowly being integrated into more places, but we're not seeing them in street corners yet or every store or every restaurant. But when the iPhone 10 comes out and millions of people have it, that's when it's going to start becoming a valuable tool and a perk for restaurants and industries to incorporate wireless charging into the devices. So as of right now, wireless charging is definitely cool, but I don't think it's game changer until next year in 2018 when the iPhone 10 becomes more prevalent. The camera on the 8 is also pretty nice. It's a strong camera, and if you get the iPhone 7, you're not going to be disappointed with it, and especially right now if you're considering the iPhone 7, that means you're probably not looking for the best camera on the market, and for that, this is still a really solid option. Neither of these have the portrait mode or the dual lens that the Plus models have. I think that's one of the killer features of the Plus models and then the iPhone 10. But for what these are, single lens cameras, they both do an excellent job. With this, you really do get more dynamic range, a little bit more saturation than Apple typically does, but they both produce really great photos. Now with the 8, you do get 1080p, 240 frames per second slow-mo. That's really nice. If you're a fan of slow-mo or you use that, you will notice the quality difference from 720 to 1080. That's a big difference on the 8 compared to the 7. Bluetooth 5.0 is also on here, which means increased range and connecting to multiple devices, etc. That's pretty nice, but maybe not necessarily affecting everybody in their day-to-day lives, unless you're someone who gets far away from their Bluetooth devices. Another thing to mention is that this thing does have a really solid speaker, definitely louder than the 7. It's actually really impressive, Apple, what they've been doing with their speakers. So if you're looking for a good speaker, this thing does have it, and it also has stereo, one here and one here, so some pretty good speaker quality when listening to music. But apart from that, these are both water resistant devices. They have the same screen resolution, they both don't have a headphone jack, they both have good cameras and good operating systems and are fast. So the iPhone 8 is an awesome phone, but for $700 with tax at the base model in the United States, I don't really think it's a warranted upgrade over the 7. And if you're considering getting a new phone this year, if you have, a 6S or lower, maybe go for a used iPhone 7, save several $100s and still have a good phone. Otherwise, I would probably recommend going for the 10 if you can. Stock is going to be the biggest issue there. It's going to be really hard to get one. Cross my fingers that I can snag one. But for me, as a student, the iPhone 8 is an awesome phone. But if I had to go back to my iPhone 7, which I did a couple days ago because of the iOS 11 meltdown on here, it was fine. It was okay. I didn't have a big issue going back to the iPhone 7. So that's basically what I want to say. iOS 11, you kind of suck right now. Apple, could you please make this a more stable build? I feel like I'm still living in a beta. But outside of that, the iPhone 7 is still a decent phone if you want to save some money. The iPhone 8 is a great phone, but not as great as Apple's other option, and it's still really expensive. Alright, that wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know with a comment down below, and I'll hopefully catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.